Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy Farron Khalid. I'm back again with another episode of Collective Connect. And today I got my girl Enxhi on the show.
Oh yeah, I'm
Enxhi
back.
studies advertising in university with me, and she's also got the first Albanian radio station in London. And today she wants to talk about a few different things. So Enxhi, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Well, hi guys, I'm on Farron's podcast and I'm really happy to be here because who else can present a better podcast than Farron himself? I'm not going to even lie right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, well, basically, I have the first ever radio station in London called London Albanian Radio, and it's like, because we're such a sort of small community, but there's a lot of Albanian people, we want to try and change everything. You've heard of like celebrities right now, like Dua Lipa, Rita Ora, BB Rexa, Ava
Cool. Are
Max.
these guys Albanian?
These are all Albanian
I didn't even know Rita Ora was Albanian.
I'm telling you, she's Albanian.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They mistake her for mixed race, but she's Albanian.
Wow.
And basically, the radio station was made just to bring all the community together and everything.
Right, cool.
So now, what I want to talk about today, Farron, if you would let me introduce the topic.
Of course. Anything for you, darling. Carry on.
So, I want to talk about how hard it is for people with cultural backgrounds or from different places in the world that have come to London, how hard it is to get involved into uni or to work or just little basic things.
So you're saying people who come from a different country or a different culture...
Even if you're born here.
Right.
I think even if you're born here.
So even if you're born here and you come from like a different sort of cultural background, you think it's hard to kind of integrate with like British society and working in Britain and stuff like that in general?
I think that there's different levels to different things. So there's like basic jobs.
Right. Before we even begin, would you even consider that to be a problem? Because like if I'm British, right, and I grow up in China, like of course I'm going to have struggle like fully integrating myself with the Chinese culture. Do you think that's kind of like, you know, you were born there, so yeah, fair. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, carry on. Explain what you mean.
I think.
I'll let you talk for a couple of minutes. Get your point across, yeah.
No, you're great.
When we know each other in person, we always cut each other off. So, like, my turn to talk. No, you.
No, you hold the dummy right now. Okay, I'll hold it.
Great. Kick in.
So that's what I think. I think for different sectors it's different. So if there's a job, basic jobs, coffee shops, whatever, people that have come to just work for the summer, that's different.
Right.
You can get involved really quickly. And London's so diverse that they want people anyways.
Right.
But I'm talking about business level and jobs and advertising agencies and creative. It's hard for people to listen to you.
Yeah, cool.
It's like you've got to strive your way to the top and not talk about where you're from until you get to the top.
So you think it's a lot to do with the creative industries? Because I think it's a lot to do with like communication. So it's kind of like if I'm talking to you and I got an accent which doesn't fit in with like the British accent, let's say. I mean, it varies. I think a lot of forward-thinking companies, they'll hire anyone on the company board if they're good enough. Like for example, like Microsoft, the CEO is like an Indian dude. So I think that's like a good example of like a forward-thinking company that doesn't care. But I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess some people wouldn't like you on their team unless you could speak properly. So I find it annoying. Like when I work, no offense, like for me, I'm not the type to like stop someone from doing the work.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, they're from a different country. That's stupid. But like, it is a bit annoying sometimes when I'm trying to get a point across and you have to repeat yourself like 6 times.
A lot of people are taken advantage of.
Yeah.
That's a big thing as well.
Go on, carry on.
People being taken advantage of.
People from different cultures getting taken advantage of. Go on, carry on.
100%. So it's like, okay, if we're talking about the creative industry, right? I feel like these days it's become more different because of Instagram and everything. You can post what you want. So if people like what you do, they can see it on Instagram and everything. So it's not really an issue. But it's like Instagram's giving people an option to get a job or to just show themselves without doing the whole interview system and going through those private, do you know what I mean? The whole document kind of thing.
Would
it's
you
like
say that's like
free
a good
space.
thing?
That's
then?
a really good thing, 100%.
Sweet.
But when it comes down to professional jobs and people actually getting those jobs, I don't feel like people don't have that opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, for sure.
It's like, for example, if I was to take the example of, you know that Mad Men? Is it Mad Men?
Yeah, Mad Men.
Right.
Shout out Don Draper, he's so cool.
I haven't even finished it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm on season 2. Actually,
season 1.
Yeah, I actually spoke about this in my last podcast with a guy called Bior, so that's pretty cool.
No, but it's like, it goes to that whole gender thing as well. Like, it's not even about women, but it's also about foreigners. This is how I think of things.
Right.
I'm not going to say in our school, right, in UAL, but I'm talking about things that I've seen. When I've gone to other universities and I've been part of little presentations and stuff, because I've gone with my friends and everything. When it comes to presenting, it's like nobody focuses on people with the accent. This is what I think, you know.
Right.
People have an accent. I feel like the language barrier stops people from having that.
I agree and I disagree. Like I feel
disagree?
like you could have a crazy accent, but if what you're saying is really good and really valuable, any half-witted leader would be like, "Oh right, cool. He or she's got a very good point." Do you know what I mean? But
agree
it's
with
like,
that.
I think if you're working at a company which doesn't really listen to the people based on their accent, that company isn't really going to be around for a long time. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
Or like, I just think eventually they'll just get a bad rap for who they are. I mean, What do you suggest is the problem, and what do you suggest is a solution? What do you think?
So, let me put my thinking cap back on.
Cool, no worries. As a big question. That was a big question, but I like to get your viewpoint on what you think could potentially be the solution to kind of like this cultural misunderstanding, should you say?
I just want to say, first of all, that I think people with cultural backgrounds work the hardest. I feel like they come from a background where they kind of come from nothing, so they want something. But even people that are like, I'm foreign, I'm from Albania, but I was born here, and I sort of expect everything to be laid out. I'm not stressed. I'm not worried about not getting something, because other people are so like, they're so driven to work hard to escape their countries or to work. Do you know what I mean? To get to that top level. Dope. We're so chilled out. Yeah. You were born here, right? You were born in Cardiff.
I was born in Britain. I was born in Cardiff.
Exactly, Cardiff.
Wales.
Definitely.
From Cardiff. That sounds more Liverpool than bloody Welsh. Yeah, go on, but carry on. You said that people are born in the UK, so they don't have to work so hard.
We don't think that we expect that we're going to get what we want.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of grew up in this culture where it's kind of like the whole system's kind of laid out for you. You don't really have to like push yourself.
You do not think outside
it's like
the box.
Yeah, like my dad, for example, he grew up in Abu Dhabi, and when he grew up there, it was like before there was like the whole revolution, like the whole like modernization of it. And like, dude used to have to go and like walk for water and like do some serious shit. And it's like, my granddad's.
When did your parents move here?
My mum's English. Come on, mate. And then my dad moved here. I don't know, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Probably longer. No, but we're on about like 30 years ago, probably. Yeah.
And that layout.
But go on. What does that mean?
That 100%. Our parents have sacrificed their lives for us, and it's facts.
Yeah, for sure.
That is
for sure.
Facts.
I agree. Big facts.
They put their own things on the side just for us to have that straight track to create more generations.
It's more like shout out granddad, but my dad and my mum's awesome as well. Shout out.
For me, a shout out to both my parents.
Yeah, for sure.
No, my granddad's touring the world right now.
Cool. What do you think the problem is with companies today that don't really accept kind of like multiculturalism at its core? And would you say that some companies in different places are more likely to accept it because they're in an area where there's multiculturalism that actually exists?
I agree with that.
Because like if I'm in China, right, let's say, and it's like 98% of people are Chinese, you cannot expect me to like be like very super. Well, actually no, if there's 98% Chinese and one British dude falls through, I'm pretty sure that guy would be like a fucking superhero. I'm pretty sure people would love him. But I mean, you kind of get my point. It's like, where do you think it's bad? Where do you think the actual problem lies? And why do you think people actually act like that? Why do you think people are like that?
Right, so it depends on the company. And it depends on the legacy of the company, and it depends who owns the company. Because when it's something passed down through generation, no one's ever been in that, so it doesn't really get filtered out with multicultural people.
So you think it's kind of like a sort of family thing? Like a lot of family traditionally run businesses are the ones that are hardest to change. Go on. That's what you think. Right, cool.
No, I'm open. And
I know you're quite open, but I'm just trying to get some points across.
I feel like every company is different, and it really depends on the legacy that company wants to promote. So if a company is all about multicultural food, for example, and advertising, they will be so involved with different countries and different people. But then if there's a company that's so, for example, I don't know, I can't talk directly because I haven't got no straight facts. I have to talk from the perspective of the university students.
I think an example would be cool.
I think, what's a really British company that holds their heritage and everything?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just thinking British Airways because, like,
that's
it's
one,
probably got the name of it.
With airlines, it's different, I think. They accept lots of people, and do you know, I was randomly at work one day.
I get, yeah, go on.
And this lady came up, and she asked the guy next to me. She was like, "Are you British?" Right? And he went, "No." The one who worked with me. And then she came to me. She's like, "Are you British?" I was like, "I've got a British passport." "Oh, that's good. And I wanted to ask you, would you want to work for Virgin Airlines?" I was like, "What's wrong with the other guy?"
Yeah.
But then he wasn't British. I was like, "Oh."
Oh, really?
Really?
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends as well, because from like a business perspective, like if my target market is British people and I want to focus purely on British culture and British values, I'm more likely going to hire someone who's British.
Yeah.
To be deadly honest, because like if I'm doing that and like I have like a Nigerian man with a strong Nigerian accent, I don't think people really care, but it affects the overall experience. And in marketing and business, really, what you want to give to the end consumer is an experience, something related to them and related to the brand. So I think British Airways hiring literally only British people, you could say it's not really fair, but then if the brand's trying to get an experience across, would you really blame them for that? That's the question. Because that's when like it gets like ethics and morality. Well, shouldn't there be a quota for a certain amount of a certain type of people you should let into the company? And while I kind of agree with that,
what does it even mean to be British, Farron? What does it mean to be British?
I actually don't think people are from one country. You know, I was watching this thing on Facebook the other day, and it was like this guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm from here," and then they found out that he was actually from some random country in the middle of nowhere. So that was pretty mad, to be fair.
Here's the thing. I feel like, especially in this time we're living, it's such a mix. It's like we're waiting on a little middle stage. We're not settled. Like, we had the past, we had all the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but now we're at that era. Like, you've seen Black Mirror. What's that episode?
Shout out Netflix.
Season 2, episode 3, Nosedive, I think.
Yeah.
And that's just showing you a taste of the future, kind of. But it's like, we're so
big
unsettled.
facts. Boom.
We're unsettled. We don't know what we are. Yeah. We're an age group. Myself and Farron over here. We're at university. We've got more, like, cultural backgrounds. We've got all these different. Well, I'm getting confused. All these different backgrounds, but it's like we're so unsettled because we don't know what kind of society we're in. It's like people are either doing something really bad, something really good, something really creative, something really dumb. It's like it's up and down. It's completely up and down. Whereas before it used to be, I don't know, it was more settled. People had a reason to kind of. I don't have to explain it.
Go on. I think you're touching on something. Go on.
I feel like nowadays we don't have a purpose. It's like everyone's so mixed up and everyone's got an open door to everywhere that nobody knows what they want to do, which is good because we can do what they want, which is bad because there's no direct routes to anywhere.
I feel you. So it's kind of like we live in this time where.
Personally.
Yeah. So we live in this time where it's almost like there's so many access to do so many different things that you kind of don't choose nothing.
Exactly.
Whereas like, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago, let's say, when there was the traditional kind of route, you would go on to go on a fixated career path. And like, okay, but we're not saying we want that. Yeah. What I think you're trying to get at is like, yeah, all right, so there's...
You feel like you have a purpose to life.
Yeah, but you feel like there's something you're doing. You feel like there's meaning. You feel like you have direction, I think. But I feel like with today, when there's so much you can do, it's hard to really gather that kind of direction. And I think in a time and day like this, it's kind of on your own accord to actually create that for yourself. Whereas before, it was like, you're more likely to be pushed in by your parents or pushed in by society to do something, which I don't really agree with, to be honest. But now I think there's so many options available, which I think is a huge positive, and I think it's a great reason to be optimistic, to actually choose something of purpose to actually do.
This also links to that whole, have you seen this whole trading thing going on Instagram? They promote, join our thing, become a trader, learn how to trade the right way. It's like, is that really reliable? Because people are taking that direct route into trading. Have you seen that? They train them and everything. Have you dissolved into this? It's like an Instagram thing.
I don't think
people are just getting taught how to trade online, meeting up at social events, and say that they're making loads of money.
Oh, yeah, it's like, bro, yeah, here, my Forex scheme, man, I got you.
That's it, and stock and all of that, and it's like, I don't really understand.
Yeah, I actually got ripped. I got ripped off by a Forex scheme once. It really wasn't cool.
What happened?
It wasn't good. I was just there, and it's called DCT trading. Fuck you, DCT. If I catch you, I swear to God, I won't do nothing. But fuck you. Yeah, I lost like 300 quid. I was like 15. I was so pissed. Yeah, no disrespect, but I would fuck you up on Nintendo Wii, bro. That was such a shit joke.
Oh God,
that did not bang. I hope that banged for someing. I hope one person out there laughed at that.
I know someone laughed. I couldn't
I know. Just someone on the tube. Trying to not laugh around awkward commuters. Keeping it.
Oh God, no. I just feel like today, if I think of it myself, look, I was born in London. I'm at UAL. I'm at the number 2 uni in the world. It's the second best uni for arts in the world.
Right, dope.
Right? It's gone up from 6 to 2.
Right, cool.
And I'm studying advertising, right?
Yep.
But I come to listen and I'm thinking, what do I actually want to do?
Good question.
There's so many different things. It's like people that pick advertising are so different to everybody else. It's like for different things, like for animation, for graphic design, you come to school and you're learning how to do that specific subject. You're doing that every day. You're working hard on that. When you come to advertising, you come to advertising and you're getting taught to go look out and do something. So we're getting taught to go outside and think about what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like,
the whole
exactly. Well, that's the thing. I mean, prior to coming to university, I've always kind of been into business. I've loved business. It's like I love business. I can't help it. I love making shit. It's fun. Like I love building stuff off the ground, right? I guess so. I try. So basically, and I just feel like a lot of the time when you're in university, you are. I feel especially if you're doing something creative, let's say like graphic design or photography. I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself is how you can actually create something out of that, how you can make a career out of it, and how you can actually monetize it in the marketplace. Because I think a lot of the time it's like, great, I think it's such a blessing, you can actually make something. Like the thing with me is I'm pretty fucking useless, man. I can't really make shit. what I can do is come up with really good strategy, ideas, concepts, and bring people together to make stuff. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a lot of people, if you are the craftsperson,
very grounded.
you're also the product.
Here's the thing: you have to be grounded, and you have to be a.
Are you flirting with me,
person.
Enxhi?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Idiot.
Yeah, Enxhi fancies
Here's the thing.
me, guys.
In his dreams, guys. Here's the thing. It's about being grounded.
Enxhi, can we get food after this? I'm joking.
We definitely can.
I know. I've actually.
No, I'm hungry.
Yeah, you know you're the first girl to be on this podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I feel honoured right now.
I gotta be careful what I say. I don't want to scare off girls from ever coming on.
Farron's
Yo,
sweet,
babes, what's your
Farron.
number? Can I move to you? You're a spicy still.
He's not this weird in real life, guys.
No, I'm not.
Here's the thing.
And actually, they've listened to a lot of my podcasts. I'm pretty sure they realise I'm a bit.
Here's what I think, Farron.
Go on, carry on.
I just think people are afraid of repeating things. So if I wanted to, I wanted to become a photographer, I wanted to post my photography. I'm also afraid of, number one, people steal my ideas.
Right.
So you're putting things public, but people can listen.
Right.
People can have a higher follower ranking, a higher fan base or whatever, a higher reach on Facebook.
Right.
And you could have, for example, your brand, Mason Greta.
Mason Greta.
Check that out, everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm telling you, fresh, cool clothes, nothing specific. It's just so general.
Fresh and cool. It sounds like a shit teen brand. Never say that
Listen, it's the
again.
basic words that get people involved. No one wants to hear spectacular, vibrant. So,
Yeah, we are advertisers after all, I guess.
we are, guys, we are.
Sorry.
Here's what I think.
Sorry for manipulating
was
you
I
to
at?
listen to this shit. You're all part of my marketing scheme. No, I love you guys. That's not true.
There was that issue with,
Yeah.
what's that brand called?
What's up?
Come on. Fashion brand. Oh God, I've forgotten it.
Trying to like think between like 10 million fashion brands. Right, which one am I gonna think of?
Oh my God, it's one that somebody copied their. Come on, Mark. No, it's not Michael Kors. It's not Michael Kors. I bloody forgot. No, but it's the fact that people are stealing people's ideas.
Cool.
That's
I
it.
agree. This conversation is gonna be everywhere. I like it. It's cool. But let's try to ground this back into the original point, and let's think of a solution. Let's think of an idea, right? So, companies have cultures where they find it hard. Not all companies. I think some companies, and I think companies are moving away from this in general. But I think companies can people from different cultures away from the culture where the country is based. The company is based, and the people they serve. If they don't fit into that culture, it's hard for them to move up in general. And you're not the first person to say this to me. I've heard this before, and I can see why it's a viewpoint a lot of people have. I guess the question is, what can companies do to have a more accommodating culture and to allow people from different cultures to thrive and feel comfortable in the actual company? Because I guess a lot of the time it's like, if people feel alienated for the way they speak or the way they are, then they won't perform to their best. People want to feel appreciated and valued and feel like they have an environment to grow in. I think it's all about growth as well. But go on, elaborate, what do you mean?
It's hard because no one's going to say, let me just open the doors to 1 million people to come in or whatever. You've got to have, right, it's not about saying, okay, here's a person who's foreign, they've got rubbish ideas, just let them in. No.
Cool.
It's about somebody being confident.
Yeah, I still think you've got to be good as well.
Of course,
I don't believe in
100%.
just letting people in just because they're from
It's
a
about
different ethnic
knowledge.
minority, or they're a woman, or they're a guy with 2 legs, 1 leg. Do you know what I mean? Like,
2 legs, well, that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's just me being honest. Like, I think it's all about actually being good.
Do you know
and
what?
then, if regardless of where you're from, if you're good, that's what matters.
I'm telling you, the most important word ever is passion. If you don't have passion for something,
I think passion is dangerous, but you
Passion
you
is
can
da-
argue about this.
we can argue about this in the next podcast, okay? That's part 2,
Episode
everyone has to
2.
wait for that.
Yeah, episode 2 coming out soon.
I'm telling you, passion is really important. If you don't, with passion, you don't have to have a thinking process afterwards, because it just,
Sure.
Okay, I don't want to fight with that, because
Yeah.
you're 100% for thinking process and for strategy, and I understand your kind of point
This
of
is
view.
like my geek
But it's
mind's
all
like,
about,
fuck you, NG. I'm joking. I love you, sorry.
no, it's just literally about having passion and being passionate about what you want to do, because that will allow you to go higher and higher.
Right,
And that's
agreed.
100%
Love
how
it.
you thrive through it, without
Yeah,
any
for sure.
permission or anything.
For sure, and I guess as
I
well,
want to ask you, Farron,
yeah, go on.
what do you think, what's the solution for all of this, in your opinion,
Solution for like the cultural sort of problem.
about allowing people to go higher and higher?
I think it's about companies understanding who they're serving and what type of company they are. I think, look, like a company like British Airways, on the front end of things, you would want just British people. I totally understand that. Right, when you're directly engaging with the consumer, you want British people, they don't have to be white British, they could be black British, Asian British, as long as I think a British accent matters, right, if we're going to go to the accent thing. But I think on the back end of things, when it comes to like, I don't know, software development, operations, strategy, marketing, you know, the chair, like not chairman, but the board, like, or the chairman, even the CEOs, like the internal of the company can be diverse as possible. And I think to like make it only British, then I think you can see a little bit of a problem. That is when the problem, I think when internal becomes just one culture, I think that is a problem. And I think
and that shows through a lot of companies when it comes down to brand and everything.
But I think we need to get some examples of what companies are actually like this. Right. I mean, like we're saying British Airways, but like we're cursing them out, like we're not, but like they're probably a cool company for all we know. Do you know what I mean? Like, but
true.
I mean, we're googling it right now. But I mean, to get to the sentiment of the point, I know there are a few companies out there like that, and I just don't think they're going to survive in this century. I genuinely don't believe in the 21st century people are really going to like companies like that. And we live in a day and age when transparency is so important. Like, if a company is seen doing something like ethically and even morally wrong to a certain extent, then people will call them out on it. And like, although I'm not really a big fan of morality, I think it's a bit backwards, a lot of it. I think you could get yourself caught up into like the SJW trap where you think like, you know, everyone's wrong and become a vegan and clean the oceans and Trump's a twat, although he probably is. But you know, you get my point. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, go on.
We're going to look at some examples of companies that are diverse,
cool.
Right? Because I feel like we should focus on the positive things.
Right, cool, yeah.
Right? So, we've got Sodexo.
Okay, Sodexo.
Life services.
Cool.
They've got 420,000.
What do they do?
Let's have a look.
Cool,
Right,
yeah. Alright, so...
Okay, look, actually, Johnson & Johnson.
Alright, Johnson & Johnson. Right, let's see. I guess they're a good model for managing this off. So, they pumped a lot of resources into ensuring that all employees help to create an inclusive environment. That's cool. Inclusion.
Focus on skincare, body and everything.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the whole operation is being overseen by top-level management. Best of it. Yeah, I think what it boils down to is like, I want to leave value for one audience. And I don't think the average listener of this is really going to get value out of this. I think the people who will get the most value out of this is the business owner. I think the best way to... I even want to go away from like culture and your beginning point. I think the best way to really drive organisational growth and to get the best out of your employees is to treat them like people of potential and people of growth, and treat them as if...
Treat them with value.
And treat them with respect as well, and value. And don't.
$100%.
I think a lot of the time it's so easy to be like the parent. Like, oh, it's fine, don't worry, you can do it. Like, don't be patronising when you like, because they're fucking people, man. People don't need to be like treated like, oh yeah, you're okay, you can do it. Like, people are pretty fucking normal, man.
100%.
Yeah, go on.
I'm the kind of person, I work in retail, right? I've worked since the age of 14, so I've been working since I was 14 years old, and I know all about customer service. I'm going to compare it to the most basic thing of customer service. It's all about respect, and it's all about treating people with kindness, because at the end of the day, everyone's brain's different. So if you're forcing someone to either believe in your way, or if you're just disrespecting someone's view, you're never going to win like that. I'm telling you, it's 100% about respect. And it's about respecting each other and respecting and having value and all of these different things, because if you do not respect, you will never earn the respect back to you anyways. And it's all about doing good.
Yeah, and I really enjoy it. I like that point you said. Like, people have different kind of ways of thinking, and people don't have the same worldview as you. And I guess a lot of the time it's like just having the basic foundations down, like being kind, being respectful.
Do you know what? You can add humour into this, because humour is important.
Yeah, man.
It's about softening the tone. If you can't have little basic jokes and all of these things, it's important.
Yeah.
You've got to soften the tone.
Yeah, no one likes a straight arrow too much, man.
And here's a tip for everybody, and I'm talking on my direct opinion, because I've worked from a young age. This is what I'm going to say. It's all about killing people with kindness. Even if someone's disrespectful, you've got to learn how to do it. There's no point in fighting. There's no point of answering back, because you'll never win, and you can't change someone's brain.
Right,
I can sit here and argue with Farron all I like. I cannot change something that he thinks a specific way of. So you, whatever that saying, you agree to disagree, but you do it with respect. You don't do it with the whole... I don't know how to say this word in English, actually. It's like having... Not being ignorant. It's like not being... selfish. It's about being so chilled about accepting it.
Yeah.
Even though you don't agree, it's about accepting it, but in a way that you move on. You don't keep it in your head.
I agree. It's
that
like,
kind of thing.
I was if you guys heard of Jordan Peterson, we were talking about him in my last podcast as well. He has this interesting idea, and it's like, assume the person you're talking to knows something you don't. And I think that's like very interesting, because I think if you live in this reality where it's like, that's I know everything and I'm the king of my fucking reality, and you're like a tyrant in your own mind, you know what I mean? You think the only way is right is my way, and everyone thinks like me. Well, be honest, it's not true. people think in like a variety of different ways, and I think you always have to assume the person you're talking to can actually leave you with some value. And even if 90% of what they say you don't really agree with, 10% may be like, oh wow, that's really interesting actually.
Everyone thinks they know everything.
Yeah.
But everything's different to everyone.
Yes.
Right? You've got capacity. You don't know everything.
Exactly. Cool. Cool. This is interesting. This is interesting.
That we can just, like,
this is interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, try wrap this up. Try wrap this up in a few ways now. Like, what do you want to leave with the audience? Is Enxhi.
Right.
And I won't speak now. This is Enxhi.
I'm going to give my solution, and he's going to give. You're going to finalise it.
I'll write my solution. You guys can read my solution. I need to think about it in more detail. I need case studies, examples. I'm not just going to come with a worded one. But
you need a bit of theory, a bit of references in there.
Your sentiment.
Right. Here's what I think. This is my general complete. We will definitely turn it to a theory.
Sell it to a company who needs to change the way they operate.
Right, guys, you're part of the first people to hear this, okay?
Exactly. We'll give Enxhi some commission.
I do it for free. I do it for the passion.
Really? Great. We heard that. That's a verbal contract, guys. We are not paying a shit. Thank you, Enxhi. Great.
So, guys, here's what I think. My general point is this. We're all human. You have to respect each other. And this goes from the most basic job to the highest end job sector. For companies, for people, for every single different thing. It's all about respect and not necessarily accepting people that are cultural, because our beginning point was kind of basic and we were just going through something, just trying to get somewhere. But here's the thing. People are people, and everybody has their own knowledge and power and whatever they want to have. So it's about just accepting people's thoughts. If people allow people to listen to each other, then things will strive higher and higher. It's just about
it's all about listening,
accepting and listening 100%. And then when it comes to the person individually, it's about the passion. So I wish everybody on this podcast all the success and luck and happiness and health. And I'll now pass it on to Farron. Thank you very much for having me on here.
Yeah, that was awesome, Enxhi. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you hit us up at all our online platforms at Collective Connect. Also, I can tag your Instagram in here, Enxhi. So if anybody wants to hit up Enxhi with further questions about what she thinks, she's also a really cool advertiser and creative. So if any of you guys are looking for creative work, strategy, or ideas,
Albanian.
Cool. Yeah, Albanian people who want to join the Albanian radio station.
For young people who are passionate about the culture, the community. If you want to get involved, we have now been visited by the Peace Ambassador of the World Peace of Albania, and we're just waiting for lots of people who are passionate. So if you want to get involved, London Albanian Radio on Facebook. Yeah,
I know a few Albanians. Do you want to discuss it over a drink? All right, thank you guys. You gonna end it here?
Have a nice evening.
All right, see you guys later. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye now.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.